Perfecto. Well, thank you so much, first and foremost, for doing this. Really appreciate it. This is another of the Quantrill Partnership interviews, the big interview, and I welcome my guest, Katia Bassi, the Chief Marketing and Communications Officer of Automobili Lamborghini. Someone I've known for, I think it's 13 years.
It's very true, Dom.
That's a good number, I think. It's a good
It is.
I'll take that one. And in that time, you and I managed to collaborate on a few projects in these times, and obviously very keen to perhaps have a conversation with you to learn a little bit more about you and your career history, the kind of decisions you've made. I suppose also leadership in terms of how that's manifested itself in terms of your career, because clearly you've accomplished quite a lot. Obviously, in the 13 years I've known you, then there's the time before that as well. So in terms of your career then, Katia, I mean, you started in luxury brands, didn't you? You were working for
Yes.
And then I think it was almost 6 years with Ferrari.
Yeah, exactly. That has been one of the probably best experience of my early career, of course.
Okay, yeah.
Because I've been lucky enough to be in the moment where Ferrari was winning everything with Michael Schumacher. And therefore, it was an incredible moment in time for the company of growth and innovation and everything.
Yeah. So your career started in licensing, is that right? It's just moving into the licensing side of Ferrari.
No. Okay, in Ferrari, yes. Then, but when I used to work for Swatch, I was the brand manager for Tissot, and then after I had my own small division and department in Pierre Balmain. Oh. And then I moved to licensing because the proposal and the project behind was really very important, and I decided to take the chance for two reasons. The first one is because when Ferrari calls, of course, it's an incredible opportunity, especially if you are a young woman. And also because that was completely new to me, and I try to do new things every time that I move to a new company.
Yeah. So with that kind of experience within Ferrari, you made that move obviously into sports. So obviously Ferrari is one of the arguably biggest sort of luxury brands in that context. What drove your step into taking that position in Inter Milan? And that was a pretty brave step to go into the commercial teams there. So what kind of made you decide to make that step into football?
So let's say that after 7 years in Ferrari, I really developed a very good experience in what I was doing. And again, I was thinking that maybe that was the time to do something new, something different, to challenge myself as well. Mm-hmm. So I was not expecting to be hired, I have to say, from Inter Milan, because of course other candidates were all men coming from the very same experience, so football clubs. Mm-hmm. And therefore for me it was like, I wanted to challenge myself and see, if I'm capable to do so and to win that competition in a way, talking about sport. And this is the reason why I decided to apply for the role when the headhunter, someone like you in Italy, decided to choose me to present my candidature to Inter Milan. And it went well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in terms of that, with the experience you've gained, because one of the things that we've talked about before, and I'm a big believer in, is bringing new experiences to industries. So, for example, bringing within the sports sector the kind of experiences you've gathered from Ferrari, for example. How did you see your experience, and perhaps more importantly, your expertise, making that transition into a football club?
Let's say that at the beginning was not very easy, because a football club in Italy in particular, it's something really very much close to the heart of the owner of the club itself. And therefore, transforming a company from a family business company to an international company has not been really the easiest thing to do. I try to bring my expertise also in terms of, structure,
Mm.
because the other thing that at the time was missing was a real structure and the real strategy. And that was something, that has been probably the most difficult thing to implement and deploy into the business. But at the same time, the new vision always helps, to do something different. And therefore, I believe that even if I decided to stay 18 months, because after those 18 months, you called me and I decided to take the opportunity to join the next step of my career, I try really to do things in a different way, not what it was used to do in football. And that probably, Italy in particular or Inter Milan, I don't know, they were not prepared to at that time.
Yeah. I think I mean, yeah, there is football and there is Italian football,
Yes.
and there's everything in between. So I can well imagine. Well, I do remember making that phone call to you all those years ago about NBA, and I think that I was particularly drawn to your profile and also your reputation. I mean, this was a very different type of organization, the NBA. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they are, it's almost, I see them as almost an entertainment business. They are, there is sport and there is the competitive nature, but as a business, they're probably one of the most sophisticated. How did that sort of, with obviously with big aspirations for Italy, and you were the only person in the Italian office. It was you. How do you think those experiences, particularly with the MBA and that slightly more startup entertainment environment, how has that shaped your outlook on where you are today?
Let me tell you this, Tom. For me, the most important thing when I decide to move to another company is the project behind.
Yeah.
So it's not really the company itself, even if I was very flattered to be hired by the MBA. And I don't know if you remember, I had like 17 interviews, with all the members. So it's been quite a journey. But said that, what they explained to me they had in mind for the Italian / EMEA business in basketball was really attractive. So I said, this is something where I can really leave a mark. So for me, it's important, not really, again, the company or the product itself, but the concept behind. And I loved it very much. And I have to say, especially when I joined, that was 2009, where social networks and digitalization were really at the very beginning. I learned so much from the MBA because they were million years ahead. So they knew already, that they were doing MBA entertainment as a company, as a separate company. So they were working on packages, really to entertain people, but also to involve also partners, sponsors in a completely different way. This opened my mind in a new, let's say, horizon in a way that has been very important also for the next step of my career. That's what I love the most.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, I've often used the MBA as an example of a business that was right at the beginning of really understanding audiences, really understanding their fans. But crucially, they were able to bring everything in terms of their partners, all of the different elements of the business. I mean, it's very sophisticated, which again, I think certainly here in Europe, we've I think a lot of the sports federations have seen, okay, that's how they've done that. We should do that. That's a really nice idea. But I think that certainly as a sport and entertainment, that line is blurring. I think that more and more people are looking at how we can do that, which is why I think obviously from your experiences, being able to be in that position in Italy and EMEA to influence what is now kind of, I mean, those tools we were using, they're still using today.
Yeah.
Which is
In fact,
pretty
it's been amazing. It's been amazing.
It's pretty cool. Talking of careers and so on, obviously, apart from your amazing headhunter helping you with these jobs, who has most sort of influenced you in terms of your career? Is there anyone that's really influenced your decisions and your overall outlook?
I'm gonna say something completely unexpected because I always had a mentor,
Hmm.
um, but a mentor that unfortunately passed away even before I was born, and is Marie Curie.
Ah,
So the Nobel Prize.
yeah,
I've always, since I was a child, I was looking at her like really God in a way, because she achieved something that nobody else achieved. And she demonstrated also that women can do a lot of things that are not them expected to do.
sure.
So every time that I was thinking about, I'm not going to do this because maybe it's too big for me, or I'm not sure if I can achieve some results, I was thinking about her at her age, and during the period of time that it's completely different from now, what she has been able to be an inspiration for generation to come. So she has been the one who really shaped without knowing my career and my choices.
Wow. There we go. I think that's probably one of the most unique mentors I've come across, but that's pretty cool.
Yes, I believe
Um,
so.
yeah. Well, and also, I think the element you touched on there, I think, is obviously quite, because she was in her time innovative. You know,
Yeah.
innovation. It was changing perceptions. It was challenging the status quo. You know, she never left anything. You know, she never felt that she couldn't do something, and it was just down to her and her force of nature and force of will. So I can see those influences in you. So I think I've spoken to you long enough to be able to say that. Um, in terms of your experiences more recently, so you've made the decision to join Automobili Lamborghini, which I believe is almost now 3 years since you've been with the company. And again, I mean, how do you describe Lamborghini to people today? I mean, I know them. I've known them since I was, that high, and but it's evolved significantly in the years, and obviously in your experiences. How do you sort of describe to people what Lamborghini is today?
Lamborghini today is an energetic brand, a brand that would like to inspire people
Hmm.
in a good way, a cool brand, very young. And for me, the most important thing is that we should be like, some of the athletes or the pop stars that should influence, next generation to come. We should do the same as Lamborghini, because Lamborghini is not doing, research and development just to increase the performance of the car, but is also doing that because, we believe that people need more and more some efforts from different areas such as automotive to have a better world. And this is why we are contributing with the hospital here, but also we used to do that with the Houston Methodist to create um, elements and products that could be applied also in the medical area, for example. So Lamborghini is not a company made by people doing expensive cars for rich people. It's a company that fortunately has its own way to deliver the business, and the way to deliver the business is we are doing piece of art for people who are able, yes, of course, to afford them, but also to admire them.
Yeah.
It's like to buy a painting, that you feel accomplished in a way. And this is exactly what we do. Our cars are not just cars where you can go from point A to point B. It's really a piece not only of art, but it's a piece of all the commitment of all the people in Lamborghini working on that specific product and trying to create something that has never been done before.
Yeah. I think that's interesting from the point of view of how brands now want to be seen, as well as obviously is that authenticity. It's the fact that it's greater than the sum of its parts. It's about that feeling. I'm having an event. I'm getting into this environment, be it a car, be it a gallery, or whatever. But I think that one of the areas that I'm interested in here, and obviously I would be quite valued to get your opinion on this, is that, I mean, you've worked with Ferrari, you've worked with Aston Martin, and now you've worked with Lamborghini. These are, in my experience, these are luxury brands. These are aspirational. They're high performance. Each individual has their own particular market. What do you think luxury means today to people? What do you think that sort of what's the perception of luxury nowadays?
Let's say that if we talk about products, luxury is a kind of synonymous also now of scarcity. So people are looking for something that you don't see so often. And in fact, the 8,000 cars that we do, I mean, it's really the limit that we put to ourselves just to keep the exclusivity. Exclusivity is another word, yeah. And craftsmanship. Everything that it's about something really specific done for you is luxury. For me, the concept of the age of you, where everything is designed around yourself, it's a kind of luxurious experience. When we talk about luxury in general, now more and more people would like to live experiences more than anything. So they want to share the experience with someone else, again, exclusive experience. And taking the time to do so, it's a real luxury thing. So I believe that we have to separate the two things, really, because now time is so important. And especially now after the pandemic, we really realized, how much we need to get in contact with others and to spend time with others, without being isolated as we were forced to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's worth mentioning as well, obviously you touched on it there. I mean, Lamborghini, converted elements of the factory to produce equipment for local hospitals in and around the Italian healthcare sector. Again, it's this kind of innovation, which, there you go. There you go. I don't have one of those. I'll have to save up.
I'm going to send it to you.
Oh, that's very kind. So I think that the way businesses have adapted, and obviously I know that Lamborghini as a brand is obviously very, very passionate about the Italian industry and obviously the people. So I think that was, again, I've been reading more about that than I have been about car launches, which perhaps shows you a little bit about where people are sort of putting their attentions. But again, I think, ultimately it's an interesting time for luxury brands. And I think that, as you say, it's about being able to make themselves relevant, to build new audiences. I mean, you touched on the youth element there as well. I mean, Lamborghini, I think recently have developed the esports sector as well, which has been, again, I guess is a theme of innovation. I mean, a lot has happened in the 3 years you've been there. So you've had the Urus, which has changed the volume of output of Lamborghini. It's opened the market up to different people, to a bigger car. More people are able to experience it. You've made that step into collaborations, most notably with Supreme. Tell me, how did the Supreme conversation come about? Because I think that was just a work of genius. I love it.
So let's say that I was looking at Supreme, since a very long time. And I thought that Supreme and Lamborghini were completely aligned in terms of target age of fans and brand lovers. Also, in terms of products and in terms of, the concept of scarcity, being exclusive while accessible, in a way. So I started getting in touch with them. I personally went to LA to meet their creative director and to convince him that Lamborghini was worth as a partnership, because I have to say that they are very careful about what they do, because it has to resonate 100% with their target audience first, of course. And when we have been able, to finally agree on the collection, I was really on the moon. I have to say that to launch it during the pandemic, because at the time we didn't know, of course, that, something really horrible was coming up. We we asked to ourselves, it is the right thing to do. We launched the second, when was it? The 2nd of April. So we were in the middle of it. So talking with Supreme, we said, look, maybe this is the right thing to do, because we need to bring a kind of joy in the people that are closed at home. They don't see anything. And that was the right move. In fact, all the pieces went sold out in 45 minutes. So demonstration, also seeing what all the media described about the partnership has been the right move to do. So I'm really very keen to do something more, not maybe with Supreme, because I know, that they like capsule collection, but in that direction. So inspiring a new generation that you can do whatever you want if you're committed to.
Well, I think that's also, it's about remaining faithful to your audience, but at the same time opening up new ways for people to be able to, not everyone can buy a Lamborghini just yet, but at the same time people can still be part of the family. And in fact, that's something that's a word I hear a lot. So whenever I've worked with you on projects, or I've been involved with Lamborghini, the word family seems to consistently come up. And I think that's, again, evident now in the marketing and in the way that the communications are delivered. Is it's not just targeting a certain type of demographic, it's making it much more engaging. So that, I would say, is again another level of innovation. And I know that you love innovation. I know that that's something you're passionate about. And the Supreme the skateboard, by the way, was just genius. How do you manage to continue to bring innovation in terms of your work? I mean, how do you manage to sort of, it's a balance, isn't it, between leadership and innovation? How do you do it? What's your trick?
I believe that having people working with you, like my team, which is very young, that contribute in telling you what's going on and give you a different perspective, is very useful for someone in my position. Of course, personally, I keep on studying what's going on. So you never stop studying at the end of the day, especially in marketing, because most of the people outside the marketing business believe that marketing is not a science. It's something like you wake up in the morning and you have an intuition and and you go. But it's not right, especially now, studying the behaviors of people and, everything that is around neuroscience is very important to understand and to make a predictive marketing, and not just, something that you believe could work. And on the other side, what I always do is to meet people from all around the world who has ideas. At the end of the day, I mean, the worst that can happen is that you're wasting 30 minutes of your time, but who cares? Because probably, I would say at least 60% of the time, I found ideas that are really interesting, that maybe on the paper have nothing to do with my job, but at the end, it turned up to be something very interesting. So it's clear that you have to spend time. It's clear also that you need to be curious as well, because if you're not, I mean, it's the end. But also, again, to leave the freedom, the liberty to your team to create. I like very much, what I call generative conversation, where, it's not a brainstorming. It's something that you start from a point, and maybe you decide that idea could be applicable in a different field, but is still relevant for you. So I imagine that curiosity is one of the element, and also it's clear that, you have to be interested in evolving yourself with courses, with training sessions, with university, and working with the young generations.
I think it's you touched on something quite important there. I think it's obviously looking around at your team, looking at those that are surrounding you, and obviously their influences on your decision making, and bringing fresh perspective, understanding and being brave, isn't it? It's about having the courage to make decisions, which I'm sure, you know, particularly if I look at the companies you've worked with and the you know, Aston Martin, Ferrari, and
I
obviously,
lost you, Dom.
oops, yeah, I've lost me as well.
Okay.
I was going to say, it seems to me almost that the areas where, for example, having that courage to change things, to do things a little differently, seems to follow wherever you've been. So I guess that's, again, evidence of the fact that you are naturally curious and you want to do things a bit differently. So again, working within Lamborghini, that's a bit of a sort of a reunion with you and Stefano Domenicali, no less, obviously from your days in Ferrari. How did you react, by the way, when he contacted you and said, Katia, I want you to be the first female CMO and board member of Automobili Lamborghini? I mean, how did you feel to that?
But first of all, that was a real surprise because Stefano called me after a few months. He joined Lamborghini, and therefore, I mean, he had a lot of things to do, and I was very flattered he thought about me. And then, you know, the reaction has been, why not? So this is time also to change things in the automotive business. I believe that I can bring my personal touch. I believe that I can make the difference. And I also believe that it's time to introduce marketing in this company, not because I'm not going to say that, you know, the people before me, they were not, you know, in the right position. Absolutely not. But I always had a different perspective because I was coming from different experiences. That's what I loved, you know, to contaminate the new company that I'm joining with something that not really I did in the previous one, but, you know, in terms of dynamics and concepts, that's what I wanted to do. So when he told me, I mean, come on and join us, I was like, that's the right thing to do it.
Absolutely. Well, no, I think that's it's a nice phone call to receive, isn't it?
Sure.
In terms of that, obviously, another area which I know is important for you as well is that, you know, you've also created the Female Advisory Board, the FAB, which I know has been enormously successful, and that's been reaching out to women in a number of different industry sectors and a number of different, I guess, sort of experiences. So, I mean, how did you arrive at this concept? And has this always been in your head, or is this a relatively new thing, or how did it start?
Now, let's say that is exactly for the same reason I accepted to be part of the Lamborghini family. The idea was to finally take responsibility, because we should do that. You know, people in our position should do that, you know, to inspire new generation. And I said, look, first of all, you know, from the business standpoint, women are becoming more powerful day after day. And therefore, this is a target that I don't want to leave to anybody else in my category. And this is one thing. On the other thing, I knew that to attract women, one of the most important things was also to explain what Lamborghini stands for. So I want to use the authenticity and not just, you know, to make a female advisory board for no reason, just to demonstrate that in Lamborghini we care about diversity. You know, the reason is completely different. And in fact, we are not a kind of Me Too movement. We celebrate women. So we support women. And in fact, I don't like the word empower, because to me it means a completely different thing. So we would like to inspire women and fab to come, that they can enter into categories and sectors where now, you know, there's a male domination more or less. But again, not because we want to transform completely the status quo, but just because we believe that it's time. And we have to educate, you know, the new women to become board members, but there's no history behind that. And therefore, I mean, you need someone mentoring you and let you understand, you know, the dynamics and the rules of the game at the end of the day. And this is the reason why we collected so many women around the world with our experiences, to be the one putting a lot of seeds and explaining that this is possible. So, even with the award in 2019, where we wanted to award women below 30 years old in categories such as art, innovation, and technology, and sustainability, we wanted to let them know that there is a space in this community. And the community is happy to welcome them, but all of us, we should be a little bit more brave. You touched the point to be brave earlier. And this is one of the key elements, I believe, that women should embrace, to be a little bit more brave, because sometimes, in most of the interviews that I had, people ask me, but how is it possible that you had so many experiences in male-dominated fields? And I said, just because I wanted to challenge myself, and I decided to try, without saying to myself, you know what, like with Inter Milan, I've been told that you are the only woman applying and all the rest are men coming from the same industry. I said, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen to me? That I made an interview, that I met some people, that maybe could be helpful to me in the future. And I tested myself, but I know about women that believe that it's not even worth it to give a chance. And that's I believe it's a real shame.
Yeah, no, I think I think, as you say, it's a movement, but at the same time, it's also down to people, having the confidence to build the communities that allow people naturally to evolve into these kind of remits as well. And again, it just reiterates the familiar or the family element that we keep sort of hearing around, sort of marketing but it seems very genuine, which is again, the skill of a marketer is to be able to make it, as genuine as possible, whilst at the same time, maintaining a mission and a goal. Talking of goals, what would you say has been kind of your biggest challenge in the business within Lamborghini? I mean, it's almost 3 years. What would you say has been your biggest challenge?
It's difficult to say, because I didn't see any challenges here, to tell the truth, Dom. So I experienced, let's say, different point of views. And therefore it's clear that, you have to convince others that what you have in mind that seems crazy, it's probably the right move to do. But here in Lamborghini, thanks to my CEO, I had the freedom to really be creative and to express myself. And I believe that this is the most important thing, this is the reason also why I didn't see any challenges so far.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting answer. I think that, as you say, having the freedom to do what you can do well, I think is the sign of great leadership and great management. And obviously, I know Stefano holds you in very high regard in that context as well. So again, it's just I think it's also about bringing together the right minds of people with ambition and to change things, which I know sort of is pretty key to Lamborghini. So some quick fire fun questions, Katia. The bit that everyone enjoys the most, the Quantrill partnership question. So I think I know the answer to this one, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Inter Milan or AC Milan?
Inter Milan. No doubt. Because I was a fan, by the way. Yeah.
See, I always
supported Inter Milan.
Really interesting. So when I first started recruiting for sports teams, it was for a Formula One team. I remember the CEO said to me, "I don't want to hire someone who's a fan of Formula One." I was like, "Okay." He said, "Because I want, when there was a commercial role, he said, I want the person to be looking at the sponsor and not looking at the race."
No,
that was a really interesting one for me. But obviously, being a fan, you've got to be a fan of a club. if you were to drive around Italy, what car would you drive in?
Urus, 100%.
Yeah, comfortable, like it. Um, Music or art?
Art.
Art. So what would be your favorite luxury brand? We talked about luxury. What's your favorite brand?
Goyard.
Oh, interesting. Um, Favorite city in the world?
New York.
New York.
No, I have to say New York,
Really?
yes.
I think it's in relation to London. What's been your sort of favorite business quote? Have you, is there anything that's been one of your favorites?
Yes, let me read it because it's in my office on the wall. May you never forget how far you have come and the miles it took just to get to this place.
Ah, who said that?
Morgan Harper Nichols.
There we go. I like that. I think you may have mentioned this one already, but your most admired leader in life, is that Marie Curie still?
Yeah, confirmed.
And what's your motto, Katia?
My motto is always try something new.
Always try something new. That's brilliant. Thank you. And thank you for trying something new with me on the Quantrill Partnership interviews as well. It's been my absolute pleasure to have you here. Obviously, I'm delighted. This has been a very easy conversation. We've known each other for many, many years, and I think we'll continue to know each other for many, many years.
Definitely.
No, my dear, thank you so much for this. It's been fascinating to hear about your journey and some really very valuable insights and some really good, unique sets of perspectives on you and your career as well. So thank you so much.
No, thank you for inviting me, and any time for you, Dom.
There we go. Well, we look forward to doing another one.